Good. I'm also trying to get into the FB Live. It's not yet on. Have you started?
I'm starting right now. Hey, everybody. Let's go back to the Zoom. Hi, everyone. How are you? Maybe a slightly better lighting today. So welcome. Welcome to everyone. Sorry, I just got off a coaching call. It ran a little bit overtime, so I'm getting my life together over here. So welcome, how are you? Come on in, come on in, come on in, especially to my VIPs, which are my passionistas, those who are already a part of the Career Passion Acceleration Program. Welcome. I am Coach Vuyanzi. I help Black women leaders make career transitions with ease. It is my desire that I see 1 million Black women leaders make positive global impact. So today I want you to stay tuned for the end of this live because I do have some big news for you. And I want you to stay tuned. Just a reminder for some housekeeping. VIPs, you can get your questions answered after this call with, after I stop the live stream. So VIPs, you can get your answers for after I stop the live stream. And those of you who are tuning in from our Global Black Women Leaders Network, welcome. So tonight's topic is very exciting. Shout out to the members who made the suggestion, to the member who made the suggestion. And it is building powerful connections, the intersection of sisterhood and networking. Building powerful connections, the intersection between sisterhood, the intersection of sisterhood and networking. So first, I want to start off with laying a foundation for what we're talking about. When we say building, right, we know that that word means to construct. So we're talking about constructing something. When we look at the word powerful, what is the root word? The root word is power. And power is the ability to do something or act in a particular way. So we have building, to construct, and power is the ability to act in a particular way. And we have the word connection. A connection is a relationship. I want to pause there for a moment because when we think about my reminder, because when we're thinking about the word friend and the word friend and the word connection. Facebook, we have Facebook friends. On LinkedIn, we have connections. But most of the time, let's really be honest here, neither one are true. Facebook, the people, the thousands of people that you're friends with, right? Do you even have a relationship with them? On LinkedIn, for me, it's the couple of thousand of people that I have connections with. Am I really in relationship? So sometimes, when we're using these words on a daily basis, it's easy to maybe get a little confused about real relationships. I like Instagram as just followers, because maybe that's what we're really doing. In essence, we're following others and others are following us. So even having that, and by the way, if you're here, hello to those of you who have joined. I see you. So now we have build, to construct, we have power, the ability to do something, we have connection, relationship. And so I love this thing that right now, if we look at the first part of this, building powerful relationships, constructing a relationship with the ability to do something. Somebody say amen. The constructing a relationship with the ability to do something. That is building powerful connection. All right, so we're looking at the first part of that. And then the next part is the intersection of sisterhood and networking. So to intersect means that's like where the two roads come together, they pass through, they overlap. So sisterhood, being a sister, is overlapping with the process of interconnecting with people. So being a sister, and then the process of really that overlapping of the interconnection with people. I love this quote by Dr. Martin Luther King, and I meant to bring this up, and I'll bring it up. Let me try to do this. So if somebody's understanding, right, where we're starting from right now, just type in, I understand. I understand. Okay, there's something, the quote about intersectionality, MLK. Okay, so while that's coming up, so if we were to reword, I think it's very sexy, but if we were to reword tonight's title, which is Building Powerful Connections, the Intersection of Sisterhood and Networking, if we were to rebuild it in a very non-sexy way, reword it, we're talking about the construction of relationships with the ability to do something and the process by which this exchange of information and development of contacts happens. Okay, I know it sounds very academic, but sometimes we have to lay the foundation. And hello to everyone who has joined. So now, how many times, now let's get into this. And I want everyone here, live or later, to listen to this, because I'm about to step on some toes, because I haven't heard this just once. I haven't heard the next thing I say just twice. I have heard it so many times in my life. How many of you have said or have heard something like this? Oh, I don't really like having relationships with a lot of women because they're very chatty, they're very jealous, they gossip a lot. Someone needs to tell the truth and shame the devil. If you've heard of this, or you've been the one who said it, say, me, just type in me. You don't have to say which one it is, if you're the one who said it or if you're the one who heard it, but go ahead and type in me. Go ahead and type in the word me. You've heard someone, or you yourself have said, I don't really have a lot of relationship with women because they're kind of catty, they're gossipy, they talk behind your back, or something like that. Let me see what y'all are saying. Okay. So, right. So, they're problematic. Okay. Me, yes. So all of you are saying that you've heard this before. I've heard it from a lot of people, a lot of nice people, right? However, Lakeisha, I saw you pointed that out. What we see, so this is not just for this statement, but this is for anything in your life. What we see, or what we hear, what we see in another person, that we tend to, like, it rubs us the wrong way, or that just triggers me. It's because something in you is identifying with that thing. Something in you knows that thing. Something in you is identifying with it. Something in you is seeing it. Something in you also may be seeing a mirror. You could call it projection. I don't want to get too, I don't have a degree in that, and I don't want to go too far off that, but usually you are seeing something that you don't like in yourself. So now we come back to the point. If we are saying, I don't like women for this, essentially we're saying we don't like ourselves. If you can categorize it in that way, but But if you say that, so I want you for a moment, if you've been that person, if you've been that person, let's just deal with that because you don't have control over anyone else but yourself. I want you to think about, what is it that makes you dislike or distrust other women? And so that's something to dive into for yourself. So I've come up with 3 ways, 3 P's as it pertains to building powerful connections, the intersection of sisterhood and networking. So if we have that, the first thing is going to be perspective. Perspective. Someone type in the word perspective. There needs to first be a perspective shift on what this is about, to be connecting with other queens. There has to be a shift in the first P, perspective. And there needs to be an intention behind it. An intention saying, you know what? I'm going to look for the good in all women. Every woman that I connect with, every woman that I meet, I'm going to look for the good. That may sound kind of cheesy, but so what? Love the cheese. Don't be intolerant of the dairy. Like, love the cheese. Perspective. Someone type in perspective. So now, when you shift your perspective and you say, you know what, I won't have this thing that I think all women are like this, because you're a woman, and so that must mean you're like that yourself. But you say, I'm going to shift my perspective. That song, Ebony and Ivory, there is good and bad in everyone, but when we learn to live, love each other or give each other. Okay, anyway, there's good and bad in everyone. There's good and bad in you. There's good and bad in me. There's good and bad in everyone. So therefore, you can focus on something. So even part of attracting the right people to you is deciding on what you will focus on. This goes back to perspective. If you decide to focus on the negative, which we all have, the more negativity you will attract. You will find yourself that you are not building powerful connections, that you're not building sisterhood, that you're not producing relationships, and that you're not networking. However, if you say, I will look for the good, the reverse happens. That is perspective. Set the intention behind it. Someone needs to type in intention. And for those of you who are saying, I just don't know women like that, I just don't have that, then be the standard bearer. Be the standard bearer. If you're not seeing that around you, then be the standard bearer. Second P is power. Someone type in the word power. The second P is power. The second P is power. And let me just make sure I call in case someone's interested. There we go. Power. So you know that I will oftentimes quote the Bible because that is what I know. It doesn't matter about your belief. The Bible says where 2 or 3 are gathered, that God will be in the midst. So I want us to imagine that tells us something about power. So we already know by ourselves we have power. However, when you build that powerful connection, something happens. There's this story in the Bible about the Apostle Paul and his partner in ministry called Silas, Paul and Silas, and they had been jailed for doing the very thing that they felt that they were called by God to do. So they were in jail. And if anyone knows about this story, they start praying and singing hymns in jail. So look at this. Their power, them coming together, was so strong that it caused an earthquake where 2 or 3 are gathered. God will be in the midst. So that tells you, in case you're like, oh, I don't know about the gods. Well, then think of it as power. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, more power, the optimal power comes into perspective. Power, think about this word, power, that it comes here, that enough power, 2 people being on one accord could cause a total groundbreaking shift. We're talking about building powerful connections tonight. We're talking about building relationships. Again, let me go back to, we're talking about the construction of relationships with the ability to do something and the process by which this exchange of information and development of contacts happens. Are you with me? If you're with me, type in, I'm with you. So, how do you get on one accord? We're all different. We have different parents. We were raised differently. We live in different areas. We believe different things. How do you get on one accord? I'm going to say a word that's probably going to be a little bit unexpected right now. However, that word is servanthood. Servanthood. Someone write in that word. And thank you for your participation. Someone write in servanthood. So the question is, how do you get on one accord? We're all so different. We're talking about building powerful connections. How do you get on one accord? Well, write in the word servanthood. And really, when we're talking about this, Black women leaders, we look at servant leadership, but that's a whole thing. But servanthood, before you get into relationship, are you asking yourself, how can I serve this other Black woman leader? I mean, it doesn't have to be another Black woman leader that you connect with. But right now, for the sake of another queen, and we're having this conversation, how can I serve her? If 2 people are saying, how can I serve the other? Right away, they get on one accord. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, there I will be in the midst. So now we move the attention off ourselves and what you can do for me, and now saying, what can I do for you? Notice I'm saying 2 queens asking, what can we do for her? Because now this is where the power is. So now when you come on one accord, and if you both have that, then your hearts begin to get open, right? That's where that relationship starts to happen. So servanthood, how can you serve your fellow queen? So here we go. And let's talk about, one of the things that it's not. Well, let me just pause for a moment. Is any of this resonating with you? What's coming up for you? What are some things that are coming up for you? Let me just pause for a moment. Is anything coming up for you, Queen, as you're hearing this? Because we got another point. What do we have so far? We have perspective was the first P. The second P was power. What's coming up for you? You can go ahead and type something in. I'll look at it in just a minute. But, when we're talking about serving, right? We have to remove the I from that. So where can you start? Where can you start making real, powerful, building sisterhood, making powerful connections, even right here? Think about it. How many groups are you a part of? Let me tell you. I did this one app. No, it's like a Chrome extension where it connects with your Facebook and it pulls out all the groups that you're a part of. Come here, I'm gonna tell you. I'm a part of over 100 groups. When it pulled out all the groups that I was a part of over 100 groups. I'm like, huh? What? I can't be making powerful connections in those groups. There's no freaking way. I didn't even know I was a part of that many groups. So I started just coming out of some. So, I mean, and by the way, that takes time. I had to click. And some of them are inactive. So even that tells you something about that as well. So anyway, I'm sorry, because I could go on a whole different tangent with that. But start right here. in conversations. Yes, I like it when you give me a thumbs up or you give me a heart. That's nice, but have a conversation here. After this live, go ahead and post, and I think we have to approve it, and I'll explain that in just a second, but post something you got out of here and start engaging in conversation. It's simple. How many, I'm friends with I'm almost to my max on Facebook, and I don't even know half these people. A lot of it happened during the pandemic. That's great, but we're talking about building powerful connections. And you may say, well, if you're talking about building powerful connections, how come we have to get approved when they post something? Because I've been in a group where I've had a group where people, it's just their lack of servanthood, their selfishness. Like, I just want to put what I'm promoting. I just want to put, that's not, if you're in one of those groups where all you do is promote, and no one's really engaging, is that really a powerful connection? I don't know. That's your business, but I'm just saying. What can you create with another queen? Third P. I've gotten into it already a little bit, is the process. How are we creating these powerful relationships? What are we doing in this intersection of sisterhood and networking? What is the process by which you're doing this? So I'm going to tell you something. I had forgotten about this until I was preparing. Last summer on LinkedIn, I did this. I started having meetings with people I didn't know. And you may say, well, of course you did. You're a coach. You wanted business. And of course, I mean, I'm a businesswoman, so of course I'm going to want business. However, what I did was I would say on those, what can I do for you? Tell me, how can I serve you? And it makes a difference when you're asking, how can I serve you? And so therefore, some of those people, we still drop lines. I've actually connected them with some other people. So even a part of my servanthood is, can I connect you with someone else who can help you to do what you're trying to do? Third P is process. Write down process. Write down process. Let me just check here. So I see a comment that's here. Thank you, Adenisa. When we have greater perspective, we can understand another sister's situation, personal and professional, a lot better, a greater vision, a greater perspective, right? What you're talking about is moving outside of yourself. How can I serve? The process by which you're doing this. So ask your question about the process. If you're like this, if there's a barrier, you need to start asking yourself in this process, am I willing to be vulnerable? Am I willing to be vulnerable? Am I willing to be open? Because that's what building relationships is. It's that willingness that you don't have to air out all your business in the streets, but are you willing to be vulnerable? Sorry, let me get that word right. So what do we have? The first P is what? What was the first P? Perspective. You've got to shift perspective. What was the second P? The second P was power. Coming together with another sister with the servanthood mindset can create power. And what's the last? Process. I love this quote. Please tell me it's the right one. Okay. So listen to this quote. Listen to this quote. In a real sense, all life is interrelated. All men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Somebody type destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. You can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality. Someone type in, I am who I ought to be. You're just declaring it. I am who I ought to be. Go ahead, type that in. I am who I ought to be. That's a declaration because not all of us are there. I am who I ought to be. So if any VIPers have any questions, you can put them there. And of course, you'll have access to this. So I have a big announcement to make. I am who I ought to be, right? We're all caught up in this interrelated structure. That's Dr. Martin Luther King. That's a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King. So here is awesome. Here is my big announcement. Many of you know I am a transformational life coach. I've been out here in these streets for a minute. However, my focus, every now and then I've done group, but my focus has been one-on-one. Well, I am this month shutting down for a bit my one-on-one practice. I'm really not going to be taking any more one-on-one clients because of, in the spirit of building powerful connections, I will be focusing on my group coaching practice. I will be all forces on the group practice. Somebody type in group. Why? This is in the spirit of building powerful connections. It's called, my program is called Career Passion Acceleration. Career Passion Acceleration. So that is my big announcement. One-on-one, shutting it down. Focus is on group. The first group starts in July. So all I can say to you is this. If you want to be a part of Career Passion Acceleration, or even if you want to really build some powerful connections, or you want to change that story, if you haven't been that one to have powerful connections in building up who you are, your career, your passion, and you want to accelerate that, then just get in touch with me through the DMs. You know how to do that. Okay, thank you for being with me here tonight. If you're on the replay, hashtag replay, this will only be up until next week. Then we pull this off, and my VIPers are the ones, my one-on-one clients, because I still have one-on-one clients that have been with me. They get access, they get all access to this. Okay, so let me just see if anything else is said. All right, well, those of you who have tuned in, thank you. Thank you, Queen, and to my Passionistas, thank you for being here. So until we meet again, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.